Core values for business. Now, while I've already covered like personal core values and core values in general, I want to look now specifically at vocation, your career, your job, your business, whatever you want to call it, the wealth element of your life. So, whether you're an entrepreneur or an owner or an employee, I do believe some core values serve you better than others do in terms of which you should focus on. Now, this is just my opinion. I am an entrepreneur myself. I've also been an employee. I've climbed up through management, so on and so forth. And of course, I've coached a lot of people in career development. And there's certain values I've seen just have more success than others. So in this video, I'm looking at that collaboration between your integrity and also getting the kind of results you want, because they aren't mutually exclusive. But as I've said, this is just my opinion. There are a lot of people going to disagree with some of the things I've said here. It's up to you to decide for yourself. Let's say responsibility. Perhaps the best career advice I ever got was just the timing and the way it gave me an insight. Was somebody said to me, no one gives a fuck about your career as much as you do. And it was this wake-up call because at the time I'd been relying on a lot of people. I was hoping for this to happen, hoping someone would invite me to this and offer me that and support me with this and encourage me with that. I was kind of like a baby waiting to be raised up by parents in my career. And somebody made it clear, like, no, you're a fucking adult. And all these people, every decision they make is going to be about their own career. Even if they're helping you, it's because they think it's best for themselves. It doesn't mean that they're selfish or self-centered, exactly. It just means when it comes to their work, they're going to be most motivated by what works for them, even if it's subconscious. And it just kind of woke me up to this idea that if I want my career to go well, and if I want to enjoy what I do for a job or a vocation, I have to make that happen. I have to figure out what it is and I have to go after it with some goddamn balls and some risk taking and some cleverness, right? This idea that I can wait around for something to come to me and that people will take care of me, that my company likes me and would never hurt me, those are delusions, and they're dangerous delusions. The victim mindset. It's like, oh, I need to rely on others. Your company doesn't care about you. Your clients will turn on you if you don't provide the value that you're supposed to provide. Business will not grow itself. You'll have to get out there and knock on some doors and make some phone calls, right? That's responsibility. Patience. I think a lot of people make short-term knee-jerk decisions out of fear for their finances and so on and so forth, and they never see what it's like to build something over the long term. Now, of course, you've got to put food on your table, but you'd be surprised if you cut back on the luxuries how little you need to do that. To develop a great vocation, it is going to take time, iterations, experiments. You're going to get things wrong. You're going to hit a few dead ends as you sample and experiment and grow your way towards what you're trying to build, right? It might take years from when you started to where you're at. Like, give you a sense with my coaching business. For the first 5 years, I went to people to offer my coaching services. It wasn't until after 5 years, even longer, maybe 7 years of every week putting videos on YouTube, that people started to come to me from watching my videos, right? And now people come to me a lot from watching my videos. So that took a long time to grow. Maybe it could have been done quicker by someone who knows more than me, sure. But if I hadn't been patient, if I hadn't at the start of building my coaching business, say like at least wait 5 years before you decide if this is going to work out or not. If I hadn't had that long-term vision in mind, I would have given up really quickly because the first couple of years were rough. A more controversial one, honesty. It's pretty much universally accepted by most people that you need to kind of lie and trick your way to the top or to wherever it is you want to go. Whether it's deceptive marketing or talking shit in your job interview or people pleasing your boss, people are deceptive in the career space all the time. And I really don't think that this works very well. It has a limited upside. Your boss will think you're a nice person. You'll trick a few people into being clients. You'll get the job that you're not qualified for, maybe. But then what? What happens over the long term? What happens when you get a bad reputation or where you get squashed for being a people pleaser and you can't move up and nobody respects you? Get the job that you shouldn't have. Then what? More lying? Imposter syndrome? I think deception is short-sighted. It leads you into positions where you're actually out of alignment. When people lie their way through their careers, they usually end up with a job they hate. It's a dumb final position to end up in. I mean, I work with a lot of people who have this problem. They played the game, and it turns out they didn't want to actually win that game. The prize sucks. If you're honest, either from the start or from now on forwards, it will be a bit of a slower move. It's a bit harder to get forward, but once you get moving, it becomes very simple and quite easy because you never have to hide, you never have to think, you never have to play any sort of Machiavellian political games. You just are who you are, and your vocation will have to adapt to that. But it's not the only value you need to live by, right? You need to live by some of the others we talk about. But if you're honest as possible all the way through, then in the long run, you end up in the best possible position. You have to sacrifice some short-term wins, though. Patience. Similar to patience, I guess, and maybe I'm repeating myself a little, but I've found that building something great requires perseverance and that there is no way to avoid big pockets of, shall we say, adversity. All right. I've never known a successful entrepreneur in the long term who hasn't had rough years or at least rough weeks, who hasn't been lost and confused and broke numerous times, but just kept going, just held on to the vision and just got up another day and had another crack at it until they got out of the valley. Right? There's too many people who leave at the bottom of the valley. They think this didn't work, I'm out, I bail, or I just succumb to this thing and I give up. Rather than going like just more perseverance, time served, stay on track, and eventually you can climb out of this rut. And sometimes the ruts feel very long. I've had whole years that were rough. I'm so glad I waited and got through them. And what I learned in those years is so much more valuable than what I learned in the good years. Generosity. People are very scarce in their careers, trying to get mine, instead of trying to give to others. And when they give to others, it's always transactional. It's to get more for themselves. And that gets you only so far, right? Eventually, that approach gives you a limited reputation, gets you limited kind of results for your clients and so on. Generosity is about understanding that your value, whether it's as an employee or an entrepreneur or provider, is your ability to solve problems for other people. That's all a business really is. It's a problem-solving device. Okay, it solves a problem for others. So if you try to solve that problem for others as much as you possibly can, beyond what you're asked to do, where instead of fixating on getting your bank account filled or getting your status, you fixate on solving problems for others, you're going to do well. Go ahead, ask any millionaire entrepreneur whether they think what I just said is a good idea. Go and ask them. And on top of generosity, you might use the value of service, okay? This idea of I'm always looking to provide, similar to the generosity idea. Again, I'm repeating myself, but when I say service, I mean you're looking for the best win-win situation in every interaction you have. More competitive dog-eat-dog types are looking for the win-lose. I win, you lose. I beat you. If it's a client, I get your money and I get more from your money than you get from me, right? If it's a workmate, as I get promoted and you don't, right? Whereas service is like, how do I make sure we both come out better off because of this interaction? How do I lift us both up? That cheesy win-win idea, but actually looking for it. Instead of competing with your workmate, how do you make sure you both get promoted into something good? Instead of trying to take from your client, how do you make sure you both feel like you got the best deal? Right? And looking for that and try to act on it as often as possible. Humility. You can see this absent in corporations when they get too big, they stop listening to their customers and they just stagnate. Their growth dips off pretty considerably because they're not trying to improve anymore. They don't adapt like a small business or an entrepreneur might. But if you just constantly humble yourself and think, I could always be doing better, there's always more I could learn, and you just keep that all the time. I'm probably wrong about something. Who knows what it is? I've got to look out for that. If you just keep that in mind all the time, then the only possible outcome is constant improvement. How's that a bad thing for your career? Last on my list, though there are, of course, more values you can come up with, assertiveness. You must protect your career, your art, your vocation, because there are people out there who would take it from you and ruin it and use you. And it's better to lose the job or lose the client than to lose yourself. Too many people compromise themselves to keep a short-term gain. Oh, if I just do what my boss asks me and work that unpaid overtime, at least then I keep my job. Instead of thinking big picture, if I stand up to my boss, either this job will improve or I'll leave and find a better one. And in 5 years' time, I'll be so glad that I stood up to him, regardless of what happens. Standing up for yourself, standing up for your business, standing up for your clients, standing up for your staff, making sure nobody disrespects anybody else, including yourself. And if you want to learn the kind of art of bringing integrity into your career space and still getting good results without losing it all, get in touch, dan@brojo.org, and we'll look at honest career development.